estão longe, vocês não estão vendo, mas se você perguntar pros meninos que andam comigo, você vê, tipo, eu dou risada, tá ligado? Porque é coisas tão relativas, enquanto eles estão falando, eu tô treinando, eu tô me dedicando. Você me conhece, eu não sou aquele que tem que ficar postando, aquele que tem que ficar falando, aquele que tem que fazer. Eu sei o que eu tenho que fazer, o trampo é dia 28, então eu tenho que simplesmente se focar e tá pronto, tem 2 semanas para isso acontecer, então eu só tenho que estar feliz, perto das pessoas que eu amo e treinando e me dedicando. Ah, pô, mas se você falasse, você ganhava muito mais dinheiro.
Vowing to silence the doubters, Charles Oliveira shrugged off Ilia Topuria's trolling, insisting that mind games won't shake his focus. With steely determination, he promised to let his fists do the talking come fight night. This firm stance came after Ilia Topuria turned up the heat in the pre-fight build-up, taking a pointed swipe at Charles Oliveira. With confidence oozing, Topuria suggested that Oliveira might want to pack a pillow, a clear signal that the undefeated contender is gunning for a knockout finish and intends to put the Brazilian star to sleep when they finally clash. Ilia took to X and wrote, "Don't forget to bring the pillow, Charles do Bronx." In another post, Ilia Topuria fueled the anticipation by declaring that June 28th would mark the realization of another lifelong dream, capturing the lightweight crown. With his sights firmly set on championship glory, Topuria framed the clash as a personal mission, signaling that nothing, not even Charles Oliveira, would stand in his way as he chases his destiny inside the octagon. Topuria wrote, "On June 28th, another dream will come true. I'll be the champion of the lightweight division. Charles, my apologies in advance. I'm just fighting for my dreams. It's unfortunate that Makhachev ran away." In response to these verbal jabs, Charles Oliveira fired back with a cold and calculated retort, brushing off Topuria's jabs as nothing more than empty noise. The former champion made it clear that he's seen it all before, countless fighters trying to rattle him with talk, only to fall short when it mattered.
É muito foda que eu não gosto de ficar falando muito, que tudo que a gente fala, você tá ligado, né? Mas tudo burburinho, né? Mas eu acho que já passou a fase disso, né? São 15 anos dentro do UFC. Né, eu entrei um menino lá dentro, eu era só um moleque lá dentro, igual eu tudo que eu falei pesa, né? Eu sou só um menino no meio dos leões. Hoje eu me sinto um leão no meio dos leões, um leão diferenciado, um leão embaçado. O último, o Charles desiste, eu fui lá e atropelei. O último, o Charles não tem mão, eu fui lá e nocauteei. O Charles não tem o sei o que lá, eu fui lá e fiz. Então eu acho que assim, é tão bagulho, são tantas coisas loucas que, tipo, se a ideia é essa de ficar falando, de ficar cogitando pra ver se vai me abalar, cara.
Undeterred by the trash talk, Oliveira has kept his focus sharp, locking himself into his grind and pushing his limits in the gym. He's determined to remind the world of the levels that separate him from the challengers who aim for his crown.
Você vai tomar. Só direto aqui na cabeça. Mas o cruzado de cabeça. Só de trás.
Estão longe, vocês não estão vendo, mas se você perguntar pros meninos que andam comigo, você vê, tipo, eu dou risada, tá ligado? Porque é coisas tão relativas, enquanto eles estão falando, eu tô treinando, eu tô me dedicando. Você me conhece, eu não sou aquele que tem que ficar postando, aquele que tem que ficar falando, aquele que tem que fazer. Eu sei o que eu tenho que fazer, o trampo é dia 28, então eu tenho que simplesmente se focar e tá pronto, tem 2 semanas para isso acontecer, então eu só tenho que estar feliz, perto das pessoas que eu amo e treinando e me dedicando. Pô, mas se você falasse, você ganhava muito mais dinheiro.
Reinforcing this mindset, Oliveira emphasized that he sees no need for trash talk as a tool to hype the fight. The Brazilian powerhouse made it clear that he prefers to let his presence and skill set do the talking. His eyes are fixed on delivering a statement inside the cage, proving that actions will always speak louder than words when the octagon door closes.
Se você falasse, você ganhava muito mais dinheiro. Fazer o quê? Eu não sei fazer isso, eu não sei falar desse jeito, eu não sei vender a luta dessa forma. Não é o meu jeito de vender, então deixa eu ganhar o dinheiro que eu tô ganhando, que é o único jeito que eu sei fazer, dessa forma, tranquilo na minha. Na hora que fecha o queijo lá dentro, eu sei o que tem que fazer, que é andar pra frente, botar minhas mãos, e aí, no final de tudo, o que mais importa é o seu braço sendo levantado. Eu não ligo muito pro que as pessoas falam ali, na realidade, essa é real, né? Eu sei que ele é um cara que ele pega duro, mas tá falando da categoria de pesos leves. Categoria mais difícil. Eu lutei contra o Dusty, todo mundo falava que ele era o cara que batia mais duro, e quando eu bati ele dobrou, então eu acredito no poder de fogo na mão que eu tenho, então vamos esperar, dia 28 a gente vai se encontrar.
28th, we'll see what's gonna happen.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I actually had one more question before we get into the VIP segment. So Gene Silva, he mentioned that he wanted to be a sparring partner for you for this fight against Ilia.
However, Topuria backed up his words by dropping training clips that left no doubt about his focus. The footage showed a fighter dialed in, grinding hard, and fine-tuning his skills. Far from just talking, Topuria is putting in the work, determined to enter the cage at his best when it's time to face Oliveira. Sharing his perspective on the matchup, Dustin Poirier weighed in, highlighting just how dangerous this clash could be for Oliveira. Poirier pointed out that unless Oliveira can secure a submission, he's in for a rough night against Topuria's powerful striking, with the potential for the bout to tilt in the challenger's favor if it stays standing.
I think Ilia, man. I think he's going to be way undersized against Charles. I just don't, unless Charles can sub him, maybe if he hurts him, but it's going to be tough, I think. Because Charles gets hit a lot, you know, and Ilia puts people away. I'm excited about it.
And I've never seen him in person, but if he can make one, you know, everybody says he's heavy, he walks around heavy, but if he can make 145, I don't know how big he is, because some of these lightweights are huge.
Echoing Poirier's warning, Alexander Volkanovski also recognized the significant threat that Ilia Topuria poses. He praised Topuria's sharp striking and composure under pressure, noting that the challenger's ability to stay locked in makes him a danger at any moment, capable of turning the tide with a single perfectly placed shot.
Ilia has a chance to knock anyone out. You know, he's got solid hands and very, very dangerous, and he's very he's got a very good focus. So even when things aren't going his way, he's still, you know, he's got like this tunnel vision of, I'm going to find this shot. And that's dangerous when you've got a guy like you. You're like jabbing him up, jabbing, he's missing shots. Some people usually start to like, oh, I better watch out, I better not throw shots until I know they're there, you know, start second guessing themselves. I don't know if I've seen that in Ilia.
However, Volkanovski also shared his view that Charles Oliveira won't be the one retreating in this showdown. He expressed doubt that Topuria has faced an opponent willing to stand their ground and press forward the way Oliveira can. For Volkanovski, the real question is how Topuria will respond if the tables turn and he finds himself fighting off the back foot.
Tough guys. I don't think Charles Oliveira is going to be on the back foot at all. I think he's going to, you know, that's something that'll be different for Ilia. I don't think he's ever had someone be like, nah, jam forward as well, if that makes sense. So we'll see how Ilia goes if he's on the back foot. I think I've seen him a couple of times where he had to go on the back foot a little bit. He just doesn't have the same shots, you know, have his same strikes, or, you know, his game plan to find the shots just changes a little bit, and I think it throws him off a little bit. So I think earlier on, seeing that adjustment will be interesting, because I think Charles is going to come with, even though he's high, there would be opportunities for Ilia to land, but I feel like maybe if Ilia's on the back foot, let's see how he goes there. That's going to be interesting.
Adding his thoughts, Paddy Pimblett underscored Topuria's real shot at beating Oliveira, given Charles's tendency to absorb big shots. However, Pimblett was quick to balance his view, noting that if Oliveira can bring the fight to the ground, his dangerous submission game could well secure the win.
Charles is a bit chinny, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's had about 40 fights or something. He always gets punched, but that 10 pounds makes a big difference. And especially, like, Charles is like my height, Ilia's like down here when I stand up, you know what I mean? So it's gonna make a big difference. Like, Ilia might get a bit of a fright at how big Charles is when he stands opposite him. Fighters do that with me, who fight at lightweight.
Meanwhile, Michael Bisping also entered the conversation with high praise for Charles Oliveira. He highlighted Oliveira's record-breaking bonuses, submissions, and versatility, calling him a technical buzzsaw who remains a threat from start to finish, with punches, knees, kicks, elbows, and lightning-fast submissions in his arsenal.
We know Charles is amazing, we know he's dangerous, we know he's got the most submissions, the most bonuses. He's a dangerous, aggressive son of a bitch, okay? And he's very technical as well, and he's a buzzsaw. He's going to walk forward, punches, knees, elbows, you name it. He'll lock on a submission quick as a flash, right? Super dangerous, okay? Beat Michael Chandler via decision. Before that, lost to Arman Sarukian. The man's about 36 years old. He's had a long career. He's had close to 50 fights. A lot of wear and tear on the body. A few losses along the way as well. Granted, that was the featherweight version. Of course, Ilia used to be a featherweight. This is his first fight at lightweight, so don't think there's going to be any gigantic size difference.
Further deepening the analysis, Henry Cejudo pointed to the kind of power Topuria brings, the kind that puts opponents out cold. Cejudo emphasized that Oliveira will need to make serious adjustments if he's to avoid becoming the next name on Topuria's knockout list, warning that the lightweight division could soon have a new king if Charles isn't fully prepared.
Charles Oliveira is the guy that has to make those adjustments. If not, it's going to be the double champ. It's going to be Ilia Topuria securing himself as a 2-division world champion. Charles Oliveira has fought the who's at 155 pounds. I mean, everything absolutely changes, man, with Charles Oliveira taking down Michael Chandler, with Charles Oliveira taking down Justin Gaethje with those beautiful double legs. But I will say this, when I think of this fight, I always think of the distance that Charles Oliveira brings, and particularly he likes to be in close. And the fact that he likes to be in close with an inside fighter, it doesn't make sense. And that was one thing, the person that needs to make adjustments in this fight, typically you would say the lighter fighter, the smaller fighter going up, but not really. Charles Oliveira has been dropped by just about everybody that he's fought, from Chandler to Gaethje to Islam. I mean, what happens when you go up against a dude that's knocking people out, not TKOing people, knocking people out cold like Ilia Topuria? So when I'm looking at this fight, I'm saying Charles Oliveira is the guy that has to make those adjustments. If not, it's going to be the double champ.
Offering a more personal perspective, Renato Moicano admitted that while he favors Topuria based on style and momentum, his heart will be with Oliveira on fight night. Having shared time with Charles on a podcast, Moicano said he was won over by Oliveira's authenticity and charisma, traits that naturally earned the Brazilian support.
I hope no, you know?
Why?
I don't know, man. Last weekend I did a podcast with Charles Oliveira, and he's such a great guy, you know, such a humble dude that makes you cheer for him, you know?
Yeah.
Man, especially me from the Brazil, and one thing is American when people say, hey, this guy comes from the favelas, he was really poor, but they don't know, you know, they don't know. But me, that born in Brazil and then know what he's been through, and the guys be such a cool dude, like respectful and humble, and he got everything from the scratch, and now he was a former champion, having the possibility to be a champion against a guy as Ilia. I just hope he wins, you know, that's like a dream.
Man, that's a tougher matchup that a lot of people think. They think Topuria gonna run through Charles, and you never can't Charles Oliveira out. I think he's very tough. Man, but Topuria is good, you know. He's 145. It's going to be a tough fight for both fighters. I don't have an opinion on that. I was leaning more to Topuria, but today I just had a podcast with Charles on my Brazilian channel, and it's just very hard to not like the guy. The guy's, and that makes harder, you know, to pick against him. So I'm going with Charles just because he's Brazilian.
Echoing the theme of nuance, Beneil Dariush leaned slightly toward Topuria, but dismissed the idea that this would be a one-sided affair. Dariush acknowledged why many back Ilia, but stressed that Oliveira's experience, danger factor, and ability to flip a fight at any moment make this a far more complex matchup than some believe.
I think the fight's a lot closer. I understand why people are favoring Ilia, and I think if you had to ask me, I probably would favor him as well, but I don't think it's gonna be like, oh, he's gonna walk through through Charles like everybody thinks. You cannot be a fan of his, but you can't say he's not a good grappler. So he's a good grappler. I feel like he's fought other good grapplers down, and he just shuts them down. So I think Ilia's grappling is very, very good. And if anything, it could be considered underrated.
Furthermore, Josh Thompson gave Ilia Topuria his due, describing him as a powerful, technically polished striker with strong defense and a stocky frame that makes him difficult to take down. But Thompson also pointed out that Charles Oliveira is no easy target. He noted how Oliveira had managed to overcome dangerous opponents, showing resilience and skill. Thompson warned that people often sleep on Oliveira's wrestling, and that could prove to be a key factor when the two finally collide.
I think the world of Ilia Topuria. I think he's got big power in his hands. He's technically very sound on the feet with his defense. I think he's a fantastic fighter. Shorter, stockier, harder to take down. But I also take a look at the way that Charles was able to beat Michael Chandler, especially in the last fight. He was able to get to the single leg. He was able to lift and elevate. People underestimate Charles's ability to wrestle. You know, he's got great wrestling. He's got great jiu-jitsu. He still utilizes his jiu-jitsu. I think that Ilia, he's going to be a shorter and stockier guy. It's going to be harder to deal with if it does come into any ground situations. But I mean, Charles Oliveira is fantastic on the ground, because all I see is people saying that Ilia is going to walk right through him. That might be a possibility, because when you got power, you never know, right? You never know. But what's Charles like at 155 pounds? Against somebody who like a Charles Oliveira? What is Ilia like at 155 pounds? Can he handle the weight? Can what exactly, where is he at in that position? Can he handle the weight? Can he handle the length of Charles? You know, the high knees, if he dips his head, the knees coming through the middle. Charles Oliveira is dangerous. I mean, he's got the height. He's got the push kicks. He's got good leg kicks.
Building on that, John McCarthy voiced his take, predicting that once the fight is set in motion, Ilia Topuria will enter as the clear favorite and by a significant margin.
And you take a look, and it's going to change. It's going to even out to a point, but it'll always be that, when that fight starts, Ilia Topuria is going to be the favorite.
Yeah,
and he's going to be the favorite by quite a bit. And I look at it and it's like, wow, where does the respect on Charles Oliveira go? Charles Oliveira can wrestle, because I don't care how much, you don't like Chandler or anything like that. You've got to admit he can wrestle. He's wrestled his whole career. Now then, ever since he's gotten to the UFC, he's kind of stopped with his offensive wrestling, but defensive wrestling he's always been good with.
In addition, Bedtime MMA offered a measured take on the matchup, expressing doubt that Ilia Topuria will simply steamroll Charles. While acknowledging that on paper the stylistic matchup might favor Topuria, he pointed out that the reality is far more complex.
I don't think it's ridiculous to pick Charles Oliveira. I don't think that it's ridiculous to say this is the hardest fight of Ilia Topuria's career, bro. People genuinely act like Charles has no chance in this fight. Ilia's gonna slime him out. I don't see that, bro. I feel like Ilia Topuria has a lot of disadvantages going into this fight that nobody talks about it, lads. Nobody's talking about it, you know what I mean, lads? Nobody's talking about El Chorizo, lads. The chin of Charles Oliveira is obviously a question, and obviously, I don't think his wrestling is as good as some of the other guys at 155, like Islam and Amin and even Paddy Pimblett. But one thing that I want to say with Ilia Topuria, now that we're not sure about the size, how much he's had time to bulk up, how much he's prepped specifically for Charles Oliveira, another thing that's going against him is this guy just changed teams, dude. Bro just slimed out two of his main coaches, the Clement brothers, whoever these guys are.
Furthermore, he emphasized that although it won't be an easy night for Oliveira, the finer details of the fight make it anything but a straightforward path for Topuria.
Charles Oliveira has good weapons against shorter opponents, dude. He has good flying knees. He has good right hands. He grabs onto the clinch. He uses nice uppercuts, knees to the body as well. I think he's going to use some oblique kicks, some calf kicks against Ilia Topuria, I think, honestly, based on his last couple of fights, especially the Michael Chandler fight, where we got to see 25 minutes of Charles Oliveira, he has improved his wrestling. He's improved his striking defense. He still has good power. He can still rock people, damage people. He has great jiu-jitsu as always. He's conserving his energy a lot better. I think we saw that he can go 5 rounds pretty comfortably.
Bringing it full circle, Charles Oliveira himself framed the bout as a perfect challenge at the right time. While he acknowledged Topuria's talent, the former champ made it clear that he has nothing left to prove and confidently predicted that he would be the one to hand Topuria his first defeat, knocking out the undefeated contender when they collide.
Sabe que ele tem boxe agressivo, que manda 2, 3 mãos, né, andando pra frente. Ele é cara perigoso, nocauteou o Max Holloway, né, na última luta dele. Então, é um cara que é perigoso, né? Tem um jiu-jitsu que todo mundo fala que é bom, ainda ele ainda não usou no UFC, mas falam que é bom o jiu-jitsu dele. Então, assim, cara, de verdade, eu tô preocupado com o que eu posso levar pra dentro do cage, o quanto que tô feliz, né, com mais essa oportunidade, né, mais algo gigante pro meu legado, então é isso.
É uma grande luta, ele é um grande lutador, mas eu não preciso provar mais nada pra ninguém, de quem eu sou, o que eu já fiz dentro do cage. Essa luta chegou numa oportunidade gigantesca, eu vou nocautear esse cara, essa é real.
But he's gonna knock this guy out.
Cara, na realidade, a gente já estamos lá dentro, vai fazer 15 anos, né? Eu já vi muitos desses caras que falaram muita coisa, que eu desisto, que eu vou perder, que vai me nocautear, que vai finalizar, e aí chega na hora e eles não fazem nada. Então, como eu falei, eu respeito todos eles, esse é mais um cara que eu respeito, mas do mesmo jeito que ele tem sonhos, eu também tenho sonhos, tenho promessas, então eu vou buscar isso aí o tempo inteiro.
As June 28th draws closer, the tension between Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria continues to escalate, with both men unwavering in their confidence and determination. Fans are bracing for a high-stakes showdown where words will finally give way to action. If you're hyped for this showdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more fight breakdowns. Who do you think is walking out with the win, Oliveira or Topuria? Drop your predictions in the comment section below, and we will see you with more exciting updates in the next video.